And we are live. Welcome everybody to another live Wednesday where I have a special guest. So this is going to be a special live, and we have Silver Oceans. Mr. Oceans, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing great, Rule. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I've been thinking about this for a long time. I'm like, I have got to get you on here, and you graciously accepted, and I am so thankful.
Yeah, thanks for having me on it. It's a pleasure to interact with everyone in the chat who is in the prepping community, and of course, stacking is just one part of prepping, but it's what I can really speak to. So I hope we can have some good questions come in tonight and um, educate your audience who's looking for that a little bit more on the benefits of stacking.
Absolutely. So let's go through and say some hellos. So there is the OG Blue Wrench off-grid master with the what silver. So thank you for being here. Texas is second. Welcome, my friend STP, as always. Wonderful to see you. There's JS Genesis. Shalom, my brother. I see Mrs. Verl is here. Linda stopped by. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. Who else? And it's never a show without Texas doing the 308 by 308. Amy's here. Welcome, Amy. Great to see you here. We got DJ Adventures and Beyond. Welcome, welcome. And the bearded brother, Mr. Leonard Mountain Homestead. And what do we got? We got Heaven's Fire. Welcome back. Great to see you. As well as Lost Light. Welcome, welcome. So, as you guys know, we're going to shoot for our 1 hour. I'm going to be asking a bunch of questions, but this is live. So if you have a question for Silver Oceans, just drop it right there in the chat and we will get to it. But first, why don't you tell everybody who you are?
I'm a precious metal stacker. I've been stacking since 2011. I also do silver pours. That's what these bars are here. And this setup that you're seeing is for my auction. I do monthly precious metals auctions, live streams on YouTube on my channel, and I sell all kinds of cool stuff. And yeah, I do the pours. I'm a bullion dealer. I make videos on YouTube. And really what it comes down to is I'm a stacker.
Excellent, excellent. Which I almost save this, but I see right there in your picture that nice, beautiful row right there. Who made that for you?
These are 1 ounce copper rounds, and these were done by Scorpion Metals.
Yes, we all love Scorpion Metals here.
Yeah, I love the way these came out.
Yeah, Scorpion does really good work. Really good work. I'm a little jealous. Yours look great. Man, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. All right. So real quick, before I get into all of the fun questions, I do have to give thanks. So we have Hudson Valley did send me. These are mine. You guys can't have these, but he did send me a few more. So when we do our Caleb House auction, these will be in auction if you guys would like. And then as well, Scorpion Metals also did the Orlando Prepper. He did his channel round, and he was gracious enough to send me a sticker and a channel round. So we thank the Orlando Prepper for that. So now that we got the thank yous out of the way, let's dive right into some of the viewer questions. So how long have you actually been into precious metals?
Since 2011, so that's about 12, 13 years now. And that's when I started buying. At that time, silver was about $50 an ounce in 2011. And I think it was kind of like how there was the Wall Street silver squeeze about 3-4 years ago. Just kind of like how that event brought a lot of people into stacking. In 2011, there was the same type of hype because of this run up in spot price. And it was just videos videos that I came across, news, and that kind of got me interested. And I had heard of silver. I didn't really know what it was. I remember when I first started, I was surprised by how inexpensive, even at $50, how inexpensive silver was, because you always hear silver and gold and you think it's, just astronomically expensive to buy these metals. And then I found, wow, I can actually stack silver. And then I just took it from there and learned a whole lot more. And now there's all these reasons to be stacking.
Very good. And I swear you can sit here and read my questions because you just answered the next one already right there. Which Dana, that's not God. That is Mr. Silver Oceans. He is our guest for tonight. But let's see. So you threw out some terms, and so if we're going to do kind of a precious metals 101, stacker, collector, all these different things, what is the difference?
Stacking is the idea of purchasing bullion, which is precious metals, buying precious metals for their precious metals content. For example, this is gold, but see, it's in this holder. It's a graded coin. It's graded Mint State 70 by NGC, so it's a perfect coin. This could be more for collecting. But something like an American Silver Eagle, this is a modern day silver dollar. The United States still makes silver dollars, and now it's in the form of an American Silver Eagle. This is 1 ounce of silver. This is a coin that has a $1 face value, but the real value of it is that it's 1 ounce of silver. And so it's not a collectible. It's just made for people who want to accumulate silver, especially in the United States.
Yes. Oh, and that leads me right into there. So, somebody's is watching tonight and they're starting to think about this. Well, now you're throwing out terms of coins, rounds, bars, pours. What are we talking about? What's the difference?
Poured silver would be like these bars. It's a bar that I melted the silver so it became liquid, and I poured it into a mold to make it this shape. So that's kind of what a pour is. Here's a bar I have back here. So this is a bar of silver. And then a round would be like kind of like this. This is a vintage 1976 silver round. And what a round is, it's really a round is a round bar. So, and I say round because it's not a coin. This is made by a private mint. It doesn't have a face value. It's not something that you could spend in commerce as we know it. It's just made because it's a 1 ounce bar of silver, and then a coin is silver that has a face value recognized by governments. You can see this says $1 on it.
Very good, very good. And actually, Dana has a really good question that I've always wondered. If I pop out my old fillings, are they actually silver and worth anything? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
I have no clue.
Actually.
I've always wondered that. All right. So, and if we're going to go with more terminology and things, somebody's getting into it, they start researching and then talking to some other people, and then they're like, hey, this is spot price and here's premium, and so what's all those terms?
Spot price is the market value for 1 ounce of silver. And specifically, silver is measured in troy ounces, so it's a little bit different from standard ounces. So everything here is in troy ounces. All these rounds and coins, they're 1 ounce coins. And spot price is the market price for 1 ounce. The premium is an extra fee that is placed on top of a piece of bullion, so or just silver or gold. So This is a round. It looks like a sort of like an Australian kangaroo, but it's part of this Zombuk series.
Mm-hmm.
So this kangaroo is actually depicted as a zombie kangaroo, and it's just done by a private mint. And so there's certain different items have different premiums.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the best things for prepping would be lower premium silver. That way you can stack more weight. You want to get more weight in silver content and gold content. So skipping the numismatic, which means like a collectible coin, skipping the collectible stuff and going more for the bullion is a really good way to get started in stacking. And it's the route that I would think preppers would take. Because the idea is that potentially one day these metals could be used as barter items. Most anything that you're buying for prepping, right away, it's going to be more valuable than having silver or gold, because these are rocks, right? Essentially, they're rocks. But they have value because they have extraordinary properties, especially silver.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have an item, if you have some rice and I have some toilet paper, and we want to barter, but we don't have a common type of item that we can exchange, the idea is that is where precious metals come in as real money.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that brings it in. So if we're going to talk about bartering, most of what I see right there is about 1 ounce, but there is other. So you can get half ounce, quarter ounce, fractionals, all that stuff like there. Should somebody that's just getting into precious metals, should they stick with 1 ounce, or would it be a good idea to get different weights?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would stick with 1 ounce stuff. As far as these stuff like this goes, these are all 1 ounce coins. That's Canada, United States, and Great Britain. The bullion coins of those countries. Those are all good choices for stacking, but it could also be handy in a survival situation to have fractional silver, because here, this is a roll of silver quarters.
Mm-hmm.
So these quarters have retained their value since they were made. So these are all from 1964. Any dimes, quarters, or half dollars from the United States that are dated 1964 or earlier are 90% silver. And these coins are the best fractional silver money can buy.
Mm-hmm.
Because the premiums aren't as high. If you're going, let's see. This is a little 1 gram silver bar. It says protect the Second Amendment. It's just a little 1 gram silver bar, but the premiums on these are going to be higher than if you did something like silver dimes.
Mm-hmm.
And my number one type of silver for preppers is silver dimes, because they're the most fractional and the premiums are not very high. We saw the premiums go up a little bit on 90% over the course of the last year, but then they came down. And so it was just kind of a market fluctuation thing. But silver dimes, if you take any one thing away from me and you want to start stacking and you're a prepper, buy silver dimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's very common and it's recognizable by just about anybody of what it is and that it holds value.
Absolutely.
Yes. Let's see. So, if somebody's starting out, gold is a little expensive. What is gold now? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's about 23.50, I believe.
Yeah, somewhere about in there. So with gold being a little expensive, should a new person buy gold, or should they maybe start with silver or maybe even copper if they're just starting out?
But gold right now, the spot price of gold is $2,400. So for I don't have a 1 ounce gold out here, but $2,400 will buy one coin this size of gold. Whereas the silver spot price is just a few cents shy of $30. Um, about $30 will buy you 1 ounce of silver. And I recommend starting with silver. If you don't have any precious metals, I recommend starting with silver because they're the most divisible. The thing about getting into gold, like a coin like this is a 1/4 ounce, 1/4 of an ounce. This coin here is gold. This is about a 20th of an ounce.
Mm-hmm.
So this coin would be like $600, and this one would be like around 130, 140. So also the smaller you go, just like with silver, the smaller you go, the higher the premiums are going to be. But I recommend starting with silver to build a base stack of silver because that's what's going to be the most useful for you in a survival situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have some copper out here. The copper, in my opinion, as a stacker, the copper is a little bit more of a sort of a novelty item. And I don't recommend stacking copper at all.
Yes. Yeah. I've actually had people ask me when they're starting out, they say, should I, does it matter what's on my silver when I buy it? And I say, get the best bang for your buck when you're looking for silver. If you're wanting an image, go for copper.
Yeah. Things to look for on a piece of silver. I think you bring up a good point about that. You want to know where it came from, who made it. That's a good thing to know. But the most critical things are that it's identified in the purity. So this Canadian maple leaf on each side of the maple, this has 9999. Maple leaves are 4 nines fine silver.
Mm-hmm.
So you want the purity identified on the piece. You want it to be stated that it's silver. And this says that it's fine silver. And the weight. So weight, purity, the type of metal. And this says fine silver, 1 ounce, and 4 nines fine. Those are the main things that you want on a piece of silver. Beyond that, it could have a maker's mark, where this is obviously a Canadian maple leaf, so we know the Royal Canadian Mint made this. Beyond that, another thing that you could look for is a year. But if it has the weight, purity, and the type of metal stamped into it, those 3 things are essential. That's what you want.
Perfect. I did see a few more people before my next question. No, Marissa, I'm not ignoring you. We all still love you. So it's great to see you here. Divinely Blessed Designs, welcome. Great to see you. Jimmy from Slim Chance Outdoors. He will be on here shortly, maybe about 2 weeks or so. We're going to have them on there. I even have one of them can koozies myself. And did I say hello? I think I got just about everybody there. And here we go. So right there. So do you sell metals, or do you recommend anywhere if somebody is starting out? Where would they go to buy precious metals that they can trust?
I do sell metals. If you're just starting, the best thing to do is, and this isn't going to be available to everyone, is if you go into town and there's a local coin shop, check out that store, that place of business. There are stores that sell coins, and it's always advertised as coins, but those are the places that sell bullion as well, just for stacking.
Very good. Very good. And then this one here. So Dana asked, would people be able to trade silver items like cutlery, silver teapots, and things like that? And that brings up an interesting one because there was a viewer question on, if I'm brand new, I don't know anything about silver, how do I even know that my silver's real?
Yeah, the cutlery and teapots and the old sterling stuff, that stuff is not the best for stacking. I wouldn't recommend going that route. I would go with the bullion coins, or the silver quarters or the silver dimes. I would go with something like that instead, because they have weights that people recognize. So that's a very important thing, is weight and purity in precious metals, because all these pieces are stamped identifying what they are, but it's also certified by the maker that that's what it is. So although we may use silver in a survivalist type of situation, although, say, the maker of some of these pieces of silver may not exist anymore at that time, there's still trust behind that maker, that they made what it says on the piece.
Yeah. And you may have a thing there. If somebody's out, you have that balloon goes up scenario. If they don't have silverware, it's not going to matter what it's made out of. But if you hand somebody something that says 1 ounce of silver, they understand. They can give it some sort of value to it. Let's see. Do we have any more questions? Okay. Let's see. So, what question are we picking out for this one? All right. So, I was watching, and I've been posting your link to YouTube, because you do have a YouTube channel that you put out some really, really good content besides your auctions. And you, at the beginning of the year, kind of made like a little bit of a silver forecast, as well as you actually had a guest on that was talking about it. Can you kind of go over a little bit of what your forecast is for silver, kind of like a future?
Yeah, my forecast has been since January of this year that this is going to be a strong year for silver. And I think that is really, and when I say strong, I mean spot price going up. And that's really what we're seeing right now already. The stackers are all looking for spot price of silver to go over $30 an ounce. That's kind of the threshold that people are looking for. And I think it could go well beyond that for sure. But my forecast has been that this summer is going to be strong. Typically in precious metals, the summer months are a little bit slower. There's normally pullbacks in the summer. And I don't think this year is going to be any different in that regard. I think there's going to be a pullback between now and, say, the end of June, which is pretty conservative, but it could also be into the first half of August. But so that's kind of what I'm looking for to make larger purchases, is a bigger pullback between now and the end of June. I had a guest on my channel. He's a silver expert named Leor Gantz. He was saying silver's going to 36. I posted that interview video. You could check that out later if you'd like. And I've been saying since the beginning of the year that once we get closer to the selection going on later on, September, October, November, I believe that that's when spot prices can really start to take off and create new price bottoms, new price floors. And it's just the way it's looking for me, with everything going on right now in the US dollar, with the conflicts we're involved in overseas. I just would not. I personally, this is just silver I have for sale,
Mhm.
but I also have my own stack. I'm wanting to add to my stack this summer because it's a lot of uncertainty is what I'm trying to get out. There's so much uncertainty, and precious metals are really they're a contrarian investment.
Mhm.
And really silver is not really an investment. It's more of real money.
Mhm.
And it's historically what it's done is it's kept up with inflation.
Yep.
So buying precious metals freezes your purchasing power in time.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
then later on, when you're ready to barter with it or sell it, you're still using the same amount of output, the same amount of labor
Mhm.
that it took you to buy it. Down the line, that the price goes up because of inflation. So you'll be able to sell it later on to hold on to that value that you stored in the precious metals.
Yep. And we've been calling that preservation of wealth.
Not very good.
And I see another question right here. So Off Grid Master asks, what's the difference between sterling bullion constitutional?
Bullion is pure silver. So that's all this stuff. The maple's 4 9s, but most all silver, like the American Silver Eagle, is 3 9s fine silver. So that means it's 99.9% silver. And for the record, nothing out there is called 100% silver. When you get 3 9s, that's basically the equivalent of being fully silver. There's 99.9% of what is in this coin is silver.
Mhm.
So a little bit of impurities in there.
Mhm. See, I thought I saw, oh, right there, Mr. Genesis. So how do you compare stacking to wholesaling because they seem similar?
Oh, and one more thing on the last. The constitutional, the quarters, dimes, and half dollars, they're 90%. Sterling silver is 92.5% silver.
Very good.
So the other metal that's in there is copper. And what was your other question?
So JS asks, how do you compare stacking to wholesaling because they seem similar?
Stacking is just buying precious metals to put in your stack in your collection. You know, so just to have precious metals and keep them at your house or wherever you store them, that's stacking. Wholesaling would be a wholesaler would be a precious metals dealer who supplies other smaller dealers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. And I don't know if you can see your screen, but looks like we have a special person popped in the chat.
Scorpion Metals. Scorpion.
Always great to see Scorpion.
Good to see you, Scorpion.
Yes, yeah. And see, and whenever I'm in one of your auctions, whenever Scorpion comes in, I'm just like, he's going to buy it all anyway. Yes, and right there, Jimmy. Yep, I do love me some silver coins as well. All right, let's see. So, okay, here's actually an interesting one, and I kind of think I already know what your answer is going to be. But we did a couple months back an episode on gold backs. What is your dislike, thoughts?
Yeah, I reject them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of YouTube creators in the stacking community now who are kind of getting on the goldback train.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I say buy 90% silver.
Mm-hmm.
And the 90%, this isn't really stuff I can sell in my auctions because it doesn't make sense for me to sell it. I can't make the premiums make sense for me to sell it
Mm-hmm.
to someone else because it's a whole thing. I have to pay PayPal and Venmo fees,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't make a profit selling 90%.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff I sell is vintage silver that once you get more into stacking, you kind of acquire a taste for
Mm-hmm.
some vintage stuff. Like this is California Crown Mint, the Freedom Ring, Liberty Bell. It's just it was made in the 80s. So that's kind of what people go to my auctions for.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff is what I'm telling you guys to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not stuff that I sell. Go to a local coin shop and look for 90% silver coins, dimes, quarters, or half dollars.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I recommend to all you folks.
And if you buy some, take 2 or 3 of them and then mix them with some other coins and drop them. And when you hear that distinctive sound, you will never forget it. And when you're in Walmart or Costco or wherever you are, you'll hear that. And then you suddenly turn over like, I need that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And so you actually you talked right there on making a profit. I actually had this question. Somebody was asking me. They was like, "Hey, silver's 25 or 26, at the time," and they said this person wants $30. I think they're trying to scam me. I was trying to explain, and you probably can do it better. You need to have electricity and food on the table, right?
Yeah, if spot price is 26 and someone's trying to sell you 1 ounce of silver for $30, it's not a scam. It's the premium.
Mm-hmm.
And so spot price is just 1 ounce of silver. It costs money to create these designs, purify the silver, all the man hours that goes into making a final product.
Mm-hmm.
And if silver was sold for spot, how would this private mint exist, or this one that existed in the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
or even the US government, the US mint? How
Mm-hmm.
is all that going to be made if there's no premium? There would be no incentive for people to do anything with silver if there was no premium. So it's not a scam. It's just normal. But like here's a silver round. This one is higher premium.
Mm-hmm.
It's limited to 4,500 pieces. That's how many they made, and it's just a special round. Mm-hmm. So this goes for about $45.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the price of it. That's the market price. This is called the Trump train, drain the swamp. You can look it up on eBay. That's the going rate for it.
Yep.
And if you don't know what the price is for a piece, eBay sold listings is a really good resource that anyone can access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's one of those right there, when you get into it, at the end of the day, if silver's worth whatever, $26 right now, it's 26. But like you said, there's a lot. You've got to pay for all the design work, all the stamping, the machining. Those guys, they've got to eat. And then it comes to, somebody else, they've got to eat. It comes to you and everybody. It's going to be the design and what's desirable. And you don't want to, at least for me, if you're just starting out, you don't want to go too crazy just because it's got your favorite cartoon character or whatnot on there. I wouldn't pay $200 for a 1 ounce silver. Is that fair?
Yeah, that at that point you're getting into collecting, and there are 1 ounce pieces of silver for well over $200. If you get into a Morgan dollar, this is a piece dollar.
Mm-hmm.
If this just had a few less scratches, because I'm saying it's brilliant uncirculated, meaning if you sent it in for grading, it would come back mint state, somewhere between a 60 and a 70, right? It'll be somewhere in there. This coin looks great. It's really flashy, but if it just had a few less of these marks on here, this could be a piece dollar that's worth over $1,000. So condition matters, the date matters, and it's yeah, I wouldn't get into collecting if you're just starting. It goes back to the 90%. This is what I would buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and don't be afraid of it. I remember it was like maybe your second auction. Well, not yours. The second auction I did on yours. I think you had like an Easter bunny or something like that hardly nobody's interested in, and I ended up picking it up. And Mrs. Rural was like, "Why did you buy that?" And I was like, "I got it for an amazing price, and I have no attachment to it whatsoever."
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And then I see right here. So Dana says Trump with the exclamation point. That is for sale his next auction. If you would like to buy that, that would be a really, really great one. Let's see. Moonlight Mint. Have you ever heard of it?
Moonlight Mint. Yeah, it's a private mint. The guy that runs it is called Daniel Carr, and he's famous for doing overstamping. So he would take, like, for example, I guess more he would take like a Morgan dollar, and he has presses, big hydraulic presses, just like these mints have, and he'll stamp over. This is dated 1921 is what it says down here at the bottom. He'll put in something like 1964 and alter the coin. So it is a little bit controversial because people will say it's counterfeiting what Daniel Carr and Moonlight Mint are doing, but it's kind of a type of silver art that is a little bit on the fringe. So that's kind of a really specific question. That's not going to come up. You're not going to see that. He's pretty much the only one doing that.
Okay, fair enough. And I see Scorpion Metals as being very bashful, if you will. You do amazing work, sir. So take pride in that. And I thought I saw another one. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Just making sure I've got everybody. I don't like to skip questions or not. I was going to save it more towards the end, but I want to make sure that if we get a little bit into it, that you have adequate time. So about 2 days ago, I believe you did a video that you released on your channel where you had a little bit of a concern, if that's fair enough to assess, on maybe a possible economic event.
From my video?
Yes.
Yeah. The US dollar is collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Mm-hmm.
And it's recently come out from the World Economic Forum, which is the central bank of central banks.
Mm-hmm.
So the Fed, the Federal Reserve, is the United States central bank, but all central banks in the world report to the WEF, who's in Switzerland. And they came out recently saying 97 to 98% of economies are going to switch to a central bank digital currency.
Mm-hmm.
And that 2 or 3%, I wouldn't get your hopes up about maybe the United States not being included in that, because that 2 or 3% are countries that are really off grid, like remote island nations that really don't have interaction with the rest of the world for the most part. That's the 2 or 3%. Those are the only ones being left out. So the entire world is switching to a central bank digital currency. That's short. That's long for CBDC.
Yep.
And once that happens, there's a lot that the people who are in control of these banks that they'll be able to do. We don't know what they're going to do with this power that they're going to have yet, but it could be restricting people's purchases for things that they don't want people buying. It could be say sort of tied into a social credit score. If smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol is bad, or being overweight is bad, then your money could be restricted from buying those types of items. And that's the real concern. Is it's a loss of freedom, it's a loss of privacy, and there's a lot of different things that they can do. Like I said, we don't know what they're going to do, but they could put time limits on money. So if you get paid this Friday, they could say, we need to stimulate the economy right now. We're going to put a countdown on the money you just got paid on Friday. You have 2 months to spend it. And after those 2 months, your money expires. The idea of expiring money, that's possible.
Very much.
Another thing is getting different types of money. So if any of you have crypto accounts, think of crypto. There's a Bitcoin, and there's Ethereum, and there's XRP. They're all different cryptos, but they're in your wallet. That kind of a thing can happen with CBDCs, where one money is allotted for grocery purchases, another one is for gasoline, one is for kind of other entertainment. So they could make it where there's certain categories where certain money goes.
Real quick before I do on that, thank you, Heaven's Fire, for gifting out those memberships to everybody. I did see that. Thank you very much. But let me put on my over dramatic. Do you mean you don't like CBDC?
No, I think it's evil.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. If here, people talk about being awake or being asleep, not being woke. That's not what I'm talking about. I think the standard for determining if someone is awake is the following. I ask them this question. Do you believe there is a plot by globalists to take over the world? There is. There absolutely is.
Yeah. I that's one of them things right there, and you can probably get a little bit into this. So we have cash. We have an actual paper and metal-ish sort of cash right now. Then they put us on the credit and debit sort of things. They took away the paper check for the most part. And then they introduced things like crypto and things like that. But precious metals has been around forever. So what would be the advantage of having at least a little bit of some silver jingling around over having cash, having crypto, having CBDC?
Precious metals are off-grid wealth. So if the power goes out, if a server goes down, it doesn't matter because you're holding this in your private residence. This is real money that is on hand. And if you're thinking, well, I'll just get a bunch of $5 bills. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea to have a little bit of cash on hand, but what's happening is the value of our US dollar is being inflated away. It's worth less and less every single year. And the rate at which inflation occurs drastically speeds up near the end. So we've had money in the United States since the 1700s, right? 1700s. It took 200 years to kind of get to where inflation the amount of inflation that happened over the first 200 years, after that starts occurring every few years. It's like compound interest. So that the next, it's every year at this point. Next year, 2026, if you think of 5 years out and the amount of inflation that we'll see and how much the value of the US dollar diminishes, that is happening. That decrease in value is happening so much faster than it ever has before.
Yep. And actually, the way that you started out your video, so we've shared this page a little bit on a couple of our stuff. So if you go to the national debt and you look at the actual national debt, the state debt, personal debt, corporate debt, you take all the debt of the United States on every level and add it all up. You showed a couple of days ago what that number is, because we just hit an all-time record. What was that number?
Yeah, $100 trillion. That includes personal, private, public and private debt, credit card debt, student loans, mortgages, local government debt, state government debt, national government debt. That's the one you guys are probably most familiar with, the $34.7 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the federal government debt, but really we're $100 trillion behind the eight ball when you add in all the state and municipalities and all the citizens, all the debt of the citizens.
Mm-hmm.
It's out of control, and it's not something we can ever come back from. It's just mathematically impossible. We can't dig ourselves out of a hole. It would be one thing if we had a balanced budget, but that's just going to zero. We need a surplus. We need a really high. We need $100 trillion surplus.
Mm-hmm.
We're so far behind, it is impossible to catch up. And so what would normally happen in a situation like that for the United States is war gets countries out of these kinds of situations.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a driving force to go into these different wars, because then we start supplying both sides and, making money off the weapons and stuff. And that's really what happened after World War II.
Yep.
Before World War II, it was Great Britain was the greatest country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They were the richest, most powerful country, I should say. And the United States did very well in weapons distribution in World War II, and we emerged as the richest, most powerful country in the world at that point. Yeah. And we kind of need something like that now to really, it's almost just to stay afloat. It's not going to be to pay off this debt, because that will never happen.
Yeah, isn't it weird that if your neighbor has a bunch of money and you go over there and you borrow money and now you owe that neighbor money, if you go over there and beat him up and take his money, that debt goes away.
Yeah.
Kind of like how war seems to be going and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So Dana asked a good one. So in general, how can you tell the silver is the real deal besides the stamp? Can a manufacturer only have that stamp?
There are different ways to test it. You could weigh your silver. They have machines that X-ray the silver, and they tell you what type of metal is in that coin. What it boils down to, I think, for the most part, is buying from reliable sources.
Mm-hmm.
Don't buy any precious metals from China. Even if they're on eBay, if the seller's from China, don't buy it, because it's going to be fake. And there's a lot of different websites out there that sell precious metals. If they're selling an American Silver Eagle for $25 when spot price is $30, it's fake. No one does that.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they could walk into a local coin shop and get $30 for it. So why would they sell it to you on the internet for $25?
Yeah. Yeah, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, and especially in precious metals.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Here we go. So off grid. To put in perspective for everyone, can you tell how much a dime, quarter, and half is worth in today's market?
Yeah, the silver dimes. And you got to check the dates on these because this is a Roosevelt dime. This is a normal looking dime, right?
Hmm.
But it's uh it's from before 1964. It's a 1964, so um this is about $2. The silver dime's $2.
Hmm.
So a normal roll of dimes. I just happen to have this plastic too, but it could just as easily come in a paper wrapper.
Hmm.
If this was all the way full, it would be $5, right? But face value. This would sell for about $100 because there's 50 dimes in here, and
Hmm.
each one is $2. So a roll of dimes, expect to pay about $100 for that. And the amount of silver in U.S. coins is it's consistent across denominations. So what I mean by that is a quarter is 25 cents and a dime is 10 cents. A quarter has 2.5 times as much silver as a dime has.
Hmm.
And a US half dollar that's silver has twice as much silver as a quarter has.
Hmm.
So they're very consistent in their weights. And
Very good.
and a quarter nowadays would be like $5 or $6, and the half dollar will be like $10.
Excellent. And then Scorpion brings up a good one. The sound it makes, which we talked about, and if it's magnetic, that's a very good clue.
Yeah. Yeah. Precious metals are not magnetic.
No.
So if it sticks to a magnet, that's bad.
Yeah, very, very bad. So Linda asks, what does uncertified mean on a listing for precious metals?
It means it's not graded. This is certified. This is certified. It's in a holder by a grading company. This is uncertified, also
Hmm.
known as raw. It's a raw coin. This is a graded coin. It's also a certified coin. So that's all it means.
Excellent. Excellent.
So I'm advocating for buying raw coins
Mhm.
from reputable dealers.
Let's see. I know I've got a bunch more of these viewer ones. So when we'll backtrack a little bit when you was talking about your futures. Do you realistically, so if somebody's watching us tonight and they go, you know what, an off-grid, preservation of wealth sounds like a great idea. Is there maybe a dip coming in the future? And if so, how big of a dip do you think it may drop to?
Yeah, the market always fluctuates. It goes up and down, just like if you haven't followed the price of silver, just like stocks, they go up and down. Um, I think if a dip occurs between now and the end of June, where the spot price drops from where it is now at about 29.90 down to about $25, that's going to look like a very good buying opportunity for me. And it's hard to say how low it'll drop. I mean, just a few years ago, it went down underneath $20.
Mm-hmm.
The consensus has been that that's a one-off thing and it won't happen very often. And I tend to agree. It's hard to say if we're ever going to see sub $20 silver again. It's one of those things where I'm gonna keep stacking. I'm not gonna wait for the absolute bottom. Right now with silver near 30, if it went down to 25, I would pick up a pretty good amount at that
Mm-hmm.
point.
Yeah.
But overall, what we do as stackers, a lot of us dollar cost average, meaning we take the same amount of money and buy silver with it on a consistent basis. So if you get paid every 2 weeks or every month. Each paycheck you could take $100 and buy 3 ounces of silver. But if it dips to low 20s, then maybe that month you'll be able to get 4 ounces. So just putting the same amount of money in every month, making those consistent small purchases, it's really usually not a good idea to go all in with one big purchase, but rather make a bunch of purchases over time. That's the dollar cost averaging philosophy, and that it works. It's proven to work. People do it in stocks too. It's not something unique to precious metals, but I would break up your purchases into smaller increments and purchase more consistently.
Yep. Yeah, I'd 100% agree with that. Jimmy has a question. Are Buffalo nickels still highly sought after?
Not really. In my experience, a Buffalo nickel doesn't have any silver in it, so it's purely a numismatic coin. It's just a collectible coin. Some of them can go for hundreds of bucks for sure. But my answer is no. My opinion's no. People may vary in that, but from a pure stacking standpoint, there's no silver in it.
Yep. Completely agree. And then let's see what Scorpion. I think there will be a huge stock market crash between now and the end of the year. Just my thoughts, and I'm going to agree with your thoughts. Yeah, I see definitely some correction. So we're down to the end here. So anybody has any last minute question, now is your time. And then I'm going to give you a moment while anybody furiously types their questions. Is your auctions open to anybody? Is it invitation only? Is it for the big prestigious people?
It's open to anyone. You don't have to be a channel member to bid or anything like that. It's open to anyone. Just show up. If I don't know you, I might ask you to send me an email before you start bidding. But that's just because I want to have a way to communicate with you, because YouTube doesn't have a direct messaging feature. But yeah, anyone can bid. Yeah, check it out. And email me. I have an auction email list. I send out one email a month. Email me if you want to be added to that auction email list so you're notified. And I don't spam you. I just send out exactly one email per month. I'll type my email into the chat now in case you want to reach out to me.
Yep, and anybody that wants into that, you have not missed this month's auction. Actually, what you're looking at now on the screen is what he is putting together for that, as I have sat here before backstage drooling over all of that, trying to figure out what I'm going to be buying.
Yeah, there's a lot of goodies this month. I pulled a bunch of good stuff out. I'm really looking forward to this month's auction.
Oh yeah, it's going to be really, really good, and it's one of those too. It's a fun time. There's really great people. I've made a lot of friends on there. They got YouTube channels. I've gone over and watched a lot of their content, and even took place in some of their auctions. So it's one of those ones. If you're interested in precious metals, this might be a really good thing, that even if you don't buy something, maybe just go in for a little bit and watch and see how these things kind of go, maybe get an idea on pricing and different things like that. But it's a fun time, because your auctions 2-3 days usually.
Usually it's 2-day auctions. It'll be a Friday and Saturday that I pick. So they're going to be next weekend. And that's where I send out the auction email to let everyone know when it's going to be. I do a preview video, kind of a flyover of everything that's out here. But some months, if I don't do any pours that month, especially, I do 1-day auctions. But this month I have these new bars that I poured. And so these will be offered over the course of a 2-day auction.
And it's usually about 2.5-3 hours long or so.
Yeah, it's about 3 hours long each day.
Yeah.
Did you pop You don't have to stay the whole time. You could pop in.
Did you put your email in the chat?
Yeah, I put it in the chat. It was getting kicked back. I
Weird.
put it in again.
Yeah, because you guys, you'll have to email him. I want to inundate him on trying to add everybody's thing. So I'll get him to put his email there. All you'll do is just send him a quick email, say, hey, add me to the list, so that way you can be added. And then that would be awesome, JS Genesis, to make a coin display. I'd probably be first in line right there if you made one of those. I should have got your email. I didn't even think about that. Prepping channel, and I didn't come prepared. Shame on me. Oh, and right there. Will there be any free silver? I'll let him answer that one.
Yes, always. Every auction I do, I give out over an ounce of silver. I have multiple giveaways throughout the stream. It culminates at the end with an end of stream giveaway that's 1 ounce, but there's other smaller coins that I give away throughout the duration of each stream every time.
And I'm still waiting. I'm going to get mine framed. I did win one of those end of stream giveaways to get the 1 ounce, where I did guess the drawing, and I still have my dolphin. So I'm gonna frame that.
Nice. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. I normally do the giveaway via trivia, or I draw something and everyone has to guess what I'm drawing. And I have the ability to insert clips into the stream, and we have fun. It's a really fun time for me, and I think everyone enjoys it.
Oh, yeah, it is an absolute fun time. Everybody gets along. I've only been in the last 5 or 6 months, maybe a little longer. I have not seen any fighting, anything. Everybody's, even if you get your term sniped, everybody's congratulations, you got me. It's a fun time. Let's see. Man, this is still not. I will post your email address after we get off here, so that way anybody that wants it, or email me. You guys know my email, and we'll work something out so we can get you into everything. So we are at the end. I appreciate you for spending some time. I know you're a busy man. You've got a lot of work there on the table in front of you. Is there anything that you would like to say to everybody as we go off?
I appreciate you all listening. What I recommend is checking out my very latest video. I just posted it on Monday. Watch that video. It's like 8-9 minutes long, and you probably get a decent sense of me. And check out the auction if you'd like. Email me if you have any questions about the auction or anything else. I try to put my email in the chat like 5 times, and I don't think it's showing up.
You know what? I tell you. Oh wait, do I have my? I think I brought it. I think maybe it's because you're not a moderator, and I think I can fix that. Because I think that's probably what it's doing. Is it's saying, "Hey, here's some guy trying to post a link in your stuff." Let's see. Turn that down. All right. Put something in there. Put hi or something like that, and then I'm gonna make you a mod so you can drop your things. There we go. And you now have a blue wrench. So congratulations.
There it is. Thank you.
There you go. I was actually telling somebody at work because I was so excited, and they was like, "Silver Oceans, is that the next Ocean's 14 movie?" And I was like, "No, it's completely different." There we go. All right, so there's the email right there. If you would like to get on his mailing list to be notified of the auctions, I will attest you get 1 email a month. Make sure, though, that you check your spam and things like that the first time or so that way, you're actually getting it. So, you know what? And you have a very good signing off. I'm going to let you do the signing off on this one. So, you go ahead and do the end of the way that you do your videos.
Stack wide as the ocean.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. See you next time.